Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today. I will be sharing my screen and we will be talking about the second part of the pre-approval process and finding a real estate agent and what to expect and how to prepare. So we have two presenters today. The first is Adam Fenske. He is born and raised in the Buffalo area, and he values honest, trustworthy approach with clients. He takes pride in helping clients better understand the mortgage process inside and out to eliminate surprises and streamline their closing. He has experience as a mortgage processor and underwriting training prior to venturing into mortgage sales. This background helps further relate to all aspects of the mortgage process and allows clients to feel better informed throughout the process. Adam is available before and after normal working hours, as well as weekends. From first-time homebuyers to those seeking investment opportunities and those looking for the forever home, Adam has worked with all types of clients over almost a decade in the industry. And I have also included in the chat Adam and John and myself's contact information if you have any questions further about after you've watched this. And then we have John, who was also born and raised in Buffalo, and he has over 25 years of experience in the restaurant business, making customer service and hospitality his strong suit. He has been in real estate for over 5 years, and he has had great experience learning from many Keller Williams agents and teams over the years. He also has great experience working with and helping people from different cultures, such as refugees finding the perfect home. John has toured more homes in the Western New York area than your average negotiator. Whether it's navigating the way for first-time homebuyers, trying to get the perfect distressed property, or providing help in the luxury market, he is here to help. John specializes in discussing the best terms and guiding the purchase and sales process every step of the way, right to the closing date. All right, Adam, go ahead. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the introduction. Yes, I'm Adam Fenske at Premium Mortgage. My NMLS number is 929545. I have to disclose that if you guys were to look me up. Yeah, the first thing what I wanted to go over today was what the pre-approval is, what the process is that we do in order to get you pre-approved. So basically, we're going to be looking over all things from your income, your debt, assets, the credit history, and then we figure out how much you can borrow using those things based on, your debt to income ratio, meaning like how much you can afford per month based on your income and debts, and what your interest rate will be, which depends on a few different things. First would be what type of product it is, how much percentage you're putting down, and what your credit score would be. So those are basically the ways that we, figure out what you are pre-approved for. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so why do you want to get a pre-approval letter? So basically, once you're pre-approved for a mortgage, you can take that letter to your agent, which then can provide that to the sellers for you. Okay, that letter basically states that the bank has pre-approved you for whatever type of mortgage it is, up to the certain amount that's on that letter. And it allows you to know a couple different things. First of all, what price range that you're qualified in up to, what type of product that loan is for, and it lets the seller know, gives them peace of mind that you're not wasting their time, and that you're a serious contender for the property that you're looking to purchase. The pre-approval letter itself would obviously be provided to not just you, but your real estate agent, in this case, John. And you can adjust that pre-approval letter based on what price range that you're looking into, as long as you qualify for it, so that you can submit an offer that is specific to the property that you're interested in. You can go to the next slide. Okay, So these are the benefits of getting a pre-approval letter. Okay. So the first thing is it gives you confidence in your search. You know how much mortgage you can afford. You can look at houses within that budget. The real main reason why we want you to get that pre-approval letter done first is because then this way you kind of know what to expect when you go into looking at houses. For instance, you're not going to be, say, looking at $500,000 or $600,000 houses if you're only a pre-approved up to 300,000. That way you kind of set your own limits and boundaries so that you're not, upset or heartbroken if, for instance, you fall in love with a house that you can't actually purchase. And vice versa, it kind of helps you if you think you can only purchase a certain amount of property. This may tell you that, okay, you actually can go for the house that you're really interested in, stuff like that. It kind of puts you on the fast track to closing because all your information is going to be in our system. So essentially what we do in the pre-approval process is we get all your information up front. We collect all your documentation so that we make sure that we can get that directly to an underwriter so that when they review the information, we have everything pretty much set up so that once you go into application, really the only things you may have to do would be update your pay stubs and bank statements and stuff like that. But then this way, all the documentation's there. So essentially all we're going to be doing is getting you a commitment letter once you get to the application phase. This kind of allows us to have a streamlined process for you and to make sure that there's no catch-ups in between or anything that's unforeseen that may come up. Because your credit will already be run, your income documents will already be reviewed, and the underwriter will already know what type of program that you're going to be. It also obviously establishes your credibility as a home buyer. It shows the seller this information, right? It's letting the seller know that you have already been financially checked out, you're serious about the transaction, and that an underwriter has actually looked at the file so that they know, as opposed to say a pre-qualification program, you're not going to be denied at the last second unless anything crazy were to pop up that would be unforeseen. It pretty much is a guaranteed approval at that point. You can go to the next slide as well. Okay. So what's the difference, right? So there's a pre-qualification and there's a pre-approval. Okay, the pre-qualification is what we typically do. Pre-approvals do take a little bit longer to do because we do have to collect all your documentation, and then there's a time frame in which all this documentation then has to get to an underwriter and actually be reviewed by them. The pre-qualification is different. We still collect all your documentation, but we're just running it through an automated underwriting system. So this automated underwriting system is through Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, which are the two different guidelines that the lenders go by. And these automated underwriting systems will basically tell us, based on the information that we provided, they figured that you would be approved or denied for a certain type of loan. Okay. The difference between what we do and some other lenders do is they don't always run it through an automated underwriting system before they issue you pre-qualification. So our pre-qualification essentially is very similar, almost the same thing as a pre-approval when we're providing it, because we do run it through those systems. So this is a way the pre-qualification will fast track you. So if, for instance, say you get me all your information on a Thursday night, right? And you need the offer submitted in by Friday. It allows me, I can get that done for you in that period of time. Whereas on a pre-approval, it's going to take usually about a week or so, because once we collect all the documentation, it needs to go through the full underwriting process. So this is the quicker way to get you to have an offer in, but then the pre-approval process is a more full-fledged, in-depth approval that you would get. So our pre-qualification letters usually say, based on the information provided, this would qualify you for this type of mortgage. And I can say that our pre-qualification is pretty accurate because we are thorough with it. So it just depends on what type of system you're going through, whether it's the pre-approval or the pre-qualification, but we can do both for you. The pre-approval is a little bit more accurate because it has been looked over by an underwriter. So they have manually looked at it versus us sending it through an automated underwriting system. Go to the next slide. Okay, so what do you need to get pre-approved? So basically, these are the documentations that you would need in order to get your pre-approval done. The things that we collect up front. Typically, we get your identification, such as your driver's license or U.S. passport, Social Security, green card, if you are if you have immigrated to the country and are not yet a citizen. We do look at the credit history. So once I have all that information, I will pull the credit. We do an employment verification, which is where we get a letter from your employer, as well as your pay stubs that you'll see below here. So we typically get your most recent month of pay stubs. So whether you're bi-weekly or weekly, it would be either 2 or 4 pay stubs. We always collect your last 2 years of W-2s. And your last 2 years of tax returns. We don't always have to get the tax returns. It just depends on what your work history is like, what type of job that you're in, whether you're self-employed or a salaried worker. Typically a salaried worker or a 40-hour full-time hourly rate employee, we just need your W-2s. And I would go over all of that with you and make sure that we know what we're providing up front. And then in terms of your assets, we grab your most recent 2 months of bank statements, okay, to make sure that you have sufficient funds for closing. And then a gift letter from someone that may be helping you with your down payment, which is another way in order to get cash for closing. And then if you have any assets accounts that you'd be removing funds from for this, for instance, a 401k or stock or bonds, we would be getting your quarterly statement from those asset accounts. Usually when we do the pre-qualification and such in person, we can get the pre-qualification done that day, and they do expire after 90 days. Okay, your credit's good for 120, but the pre-qualification process, the letter itself is only good for 90 days. Okay, next.
Great, thanks, Adam. A lot of knowledge and everything. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Did you have something you wanted to share as well?
Yeah, so I'll just share my screen here. Oh, it says it's disabled, sorry.
Oh, it's disabled?
Yeah, it says the host disabled it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Okay, try that now, Adam.
Perfect. All right, so this was just a document that I wanted to share with you guys. So, and John, I can provide this to you to give to any of the clients as well. This is one of our most widely used flyers that we have. So this is essentially the road to buying your house. We did it in kind of like a game format, similar to like a board game or something like that. And essentially what this document does is it kind of tells the clients kind of what to expect at each portion of the process. And you can see based on the grid that we have up here, they're all color coordinated. So it tells you which portion of each section needs to be done with what person in the transaction. Okay. So it's just a very helpful tool, especially for people that are first-time home buyers, to know what to expect throughout the process. The only thing that's going to be kind of different here would be usually we do the pre-approval first and then find the real estate agent. In this case, you may already be working with John, and you would be then coming for the pre-approval. The only reason why we put it that way is because it kind of helps people first and foremost to get that pre-approval done before they even start looking at properties with that agent. But this is a really nice way to kind of streamline the process and know kind of what to expect in each portion of that process and from start to finish. So I just find it very helpful, and we can get this sent over, to John so that he can pass that out to you guys if you'd like. We can have it emailed right out to all of you.
Yeah, I'll be sending you an email for those, Adam.
Excellent. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I have here. So I will just allow my screen to go back to you. I don't know how I.
Thank you very much, Adam. We really appreciate your time. And I believe that you're coming back next week as well to present again. So we look forward to that very much.
Absolutely, no
Adam,
problem.
thanks very much for your time today.
Thank you, guys. Anything you need, give me a call, okay?
Talk to you soon.
Okay, so I will go back to my screen share and we will continue on with the presentation with John. Just give me one moment.
Sure.
Okay, John, can you see the screen?
Yep, I'm good. Thanks, Leanne. Yeah. So just really, yeah, Adam, I've known Adam for quite a while, and he's very helpful and a knowledgeable guy, and helped out a few of my clients in the past with questions and that. So anyways, so after you get pre-approval, the next thing is you want to, if you don't already have one, is find a real estate agent. In a lot of cases, I do have clients that have not been pre-approved, but I'll pass them on to Adam or whatever, to Adam to get pre-approved. But finding a real estate agent is very important. You want somebody that's going to be if you're a buyer looking for a home, that agent works on your behalf 100%. He negotiates, he shows you homes, he is your resource to finding, through the home buying process. And in any home buying process transaction, there's at least 120 steps. So it's very important to get an agent that can walk you through that process, is stress-free and as efficiently as possible. And that's one thing that I've learned as an agent. The more you help and educate a client, it makes it a lot easier down the road. So some of the tips in finding an agent: use a trusted resource to find an agent near you. In my, it's looking, there's hundreds of agents in the area, but you want to, take a look and find an agent that, you feel comfortable with. Evaluate that real estate agent's experience. Basically, you want somebody that has, experience in the area, in this market, being able to help you find a home. It's very important. You don't want to use somebody, that's, out of the area in say Pennsylvania, because they're not going to know the market. So it's very important to find a local agent in that. If you can't think of one, you can Google, you can, just go online and find one. But in my case, I get a lot of referrals from past clients and friends and family in places like Jericho Road Center, that I deal with a lot of. I know about 6 people right now that I've been working with from this center. Next thing is make sure they know your local real estate market, which I just said. You want them to, because in this market right now, with the inventory being so tight, and it's basically, as we call it, a seller's market. Okay, meaning this, that homes are being priced and moving so fast that the sellers are getting a lot more money for their home nowadays than they were 2 years ago. So it's very important that agent you're working with stays on top of the market and can advise you accordingly about the areas that you're looking to buy a home. And the other thing is, check a real estate agent's track record. Don't be afraid to ask them, how long you've been in the business, what kind of success you've had. There are ways you can also go online and track it. You Google them up and there'll be information about that person. Or you can call the brokerage that they're working with, because every real estate agent has to work with a licensed broker. You call them up and say, hey, I want to know about John Balcerzak, what can you tell me about him? They'll be able to, honestly give you an evaluation. learn about customer service is very important. When from a real estate agent standpoint, our job is to provide provide you, the buyer, the best possible service possible. For me, it's not all about making a deal. It's more, it is about making a deal. It's more about finding you the proper home for the best price in the least amount of time. And also to educate my clients is to the best of my knowledge. If I don't know something, I always find out about it, especially when it comes to a home. You want to get that client as much information about the property as you can. Some people go and interview multiple agents. Some go by, referrals from friends or family. That's a good, that could be a good thing as well. Basically hire somebody that you're comfortable with. If that's the person you're going to be dealing with on a daily basis through your home search. If you're not comfortable with them, or if you don't feel they're not communicating with you or whatever, let them know, kind of go over what you expect from them, and they will, just basically explain what you're looking for and in an agent, and that agent should be able to, help you out with that criteria, such as, how much communication you want, are we get a text message, daily, or we get a phone calls, emails, whichever is the best. A lot of times nowadays it's text messages. About how, open that lines of communication. That agent will set you up on a home search, and you'll be getting homes via email. It's, asking questions, that agent, giving you all the knowledge that you need, and find about a home that you're interested in, and also setting up showings in a proper manner. All right, next screen. All right. Resources you can use, as I mentioned, referrals from family, friends, people at work. There are, different programs like Jericho. There's also, if you've already been to a mortgage lender, a bank or whatever, ask them about, who would be a good agent to work with, such as Adam Fensky, who, if you go to Adam, you'll, be able to refer, somebody like myself or another agent, to you. It's usually, if you get that referral, that means that agents, if you're being referred by a mortgage lender, especially, you're doing your job properly, and buyers feel comfortable with you. And that's why it's so important as a real estate agent. I build that strong relationship with, mortgage lenders and other kind of individuals, contractors, and so forth, and community centers. It's all about relationship. That's the key to any, to working with the buyer, is that relationship and being able to help them out 24/7. Another way is if you're visiting an open house. A lot of times agents are doing open houses, and yes, it's to show a home that's particularly on the market, but it's not always about selling that particular home per se. It gives you, the buyer, an opportunity to meet an agent in person, talk to them, get a feel for how they are, as a person. Will they be able to help you find a home? Are they knowledgeable? Are they a good resource? More importantly, do you feel comfortable with them? That's the key. I do a lot of open houses myself, and I meet a lot of people that way. And in doing so, I've built a lot of long-term relationships with people, about finding a home, not necessarily the home that I'm doing the open house at, but more importantly, it's finding them that home, that they're looking for, and educating them. That's the key to working with a real estate agent. All right, next slide. All right. Evaluating the real estate experience. I'll be honest with you. Yes, it's good to work with a very experienced agent. Some people sometimes prefer to work with an agent that's not experienced for various reasons. Maybe they feel that, an agent that's only been in the business for a couple of years might be a little more not aggressive or what, and they feel more comfortable. But in any case, whether it be somebody that's only been in the business for a couple of years or many years, the key is that relationship with you, the buyer, is making sure that they're fulfilling the giving you the knowledge and being able to walk you through a home and talk about that home and give you a fair and a detailed evaluation of that property. That's the key to a home. Besides looking at a home, past the paint and the carpet, it's giving you information about, different things such as the basement, the mechanicals, how the condition of the roof. It's basically giving you an idea of the overall condition of a property ahead of time, so you can make that decision if you want to move forward with an offer, especially in the case where in this market, homes are on the market on a Wednesday. Maybe they don't do showings until Saturday, and then they're asking for offers on a Tuesday, so you may only have, 15, 20 minutes to look at a property. So as a real estate agent, I try to give my clients as much information about that property as possible. So in that short period of time, they can decide whether or not they want to move forward with an offer. And as an agent, if I have a client that's interested in a property such as 123 Main Street, I'll contact the listing agent and get further details or ask questions. And that's the key. So that buyer can make that best possible decision to move forward with on that property. And the other thing is, real estate agents, as an agent, I am required to do at least 22, 23 hours of continuing education every year for my license, so that I keep up on, all the current laws, policies, procedures, and also what the market's all about. And I also check the market every day, the trends with, how many homes are sold. It's being as knowledgeable as I can in the specific areas that that I'm working with buyers. In that point, it's just makes it a lot easier to educate my clients. So like I said, you want somebody that's, it's knowledgeable in residential sales. If you're looking for commercial properties, you want an agent that's more familiar with commercial properties, and so forth. So the key is, just ask the agent about their, what they specialize in, and more importantly, what kind of training they've had or experience in the real estate market. Next screen. All right. Make sure they know your local real estate market. This is very, very important nowadays. Right now in this market, a normal market in Erie County would be anywhere from an inventory of 2,500 to 3,000 homes to make for sale in any given month. And that's by having that kind of inventory, we would call it like a buyer's market, so to speak. You're not home prices wouldn't be as high. The home sales would be there, but the price of a home won't be as high as they are right now. And the reason for that right now is because there's only less than 400 homes currently for sale in Erie County. And with that, there's such a demand. There's a bigger demand by buyers to find homes than there's inventory, than there's amount of homes on the market. And that's why when, a home that's ready to move in is nicely done, okay, may have 50 to 80 people taking a look at it in a few days and have multiple offers on it. And as a buyer, you're going to have, if the house is listed at $160,000, there's a chance you probably may have to put an offer in at $190,000 to $200,000 to get that home. Yes, it seems unreal, but that's what it's taken nowadays. Most homes in the last year have gone anywhere from $30,000 to as high as $100,000 over list price because of the demand for homes in Erie County in the last 2 years. And that's where the sellers, people that want to sell their home are looking to sell their home now because they know they can make a good, that their home will sell well above their list price, which the list price is basically when an agent and a seller have decided on selling the house for. The agent does what we call a marketing analysis, says, okay, home 123 Main Street will sell for you know, the average in the area is like 120, $200,000. So somewhere, so right around there, they'll put 125 Main Street up for sale, maybe 190,000, go a little bit less to draw interest, draw people in to see the home. And that's why it's important an agent knows the market in this area so they can properly advise the seller how to, what the price of them, but more importantly, as a buyer's agent, let them know, hey, homes in Kenmore are selling, $30,000 above list price right now, and all that. And that's the key, because you want to know, how much money you're going to need, if it fits in your budget. Okay. Make sure your agent buys and sells a lot of houses for, the more homes an agent sales transaction an agent does, gives them, the more homes an agent sells, the more knowledgeable they should be in the area. And that's, what you want from a person. In others, he knows the area. He'll be able to advise you properly. How many homes are in the market, how fast the homes are selling, what the price is, the condition, in that respect. Okay. Next. All right. Check the real estate track record. You're looking for an agent who prices homes accurately and gets them to the closing table. And by pricing them accurately means, making sure that agent checks the area, what the homes are going for, so that he can properly advise the seller and the buyer and how much to spend on the house. If there's a house that's listed at $150,000, and I know in Kenmore, and I know in that area, similar size home of about 1,200 square feet, they're selling probably, they're going for around $185,000 and $190,000. I want to be able to, tell the buyer, hey, yes, it's listed at 150, but more than likely it's going to go for $185,000 to $190,000, especially if it's a home that's move-in ready, meaning everything is done in the home. It's well kit, fresh painted, it's nice looking. The owner's done a really nice job of updating the home, through the years, windows, doors, etc. That's what I mean by a move-in ready home, whereas basically all you got to do is move, pack up, unload it, pack up your old place and go to your new home, unload the truck, and you're ready to go. Whereas basically you're doing very minimal, maybe a little bit of painting, a little bit of other work, but for the most part, the home is ready for a new buyer. How often does an agent get below asking price on a house? Right now, currently, it's very hard to get a house below listing price, unless it's been on the market for, a long time. And an example of that, if a home's been on the market for, let's say 30 days, okay, then you want to look at, as an agent, look at why is the home been on the market that long? Is it the condition of the home? Is it the price of the home? Maybe if the home is overpriced, or something like that, or if there's a particular thing about the home that's keeping it there. And a lot of times maybe it is overpriced and so forth. So the thing is trying to negotiate, a price for my buyer, based on what we feel the house is worth. Whereas if it's an area where in this market where everything's going above list price, you're not going to be able to get anything at list price or below. Some people will say, well, it needs a roof, it needs this. You can't, in this market, that doesn't, you can't take that into account anymore. A couple of years ago, if a house needed a new roof and needed a paint job and they were listed at $160,000, well, can we go in at $145,000, to kind of help pay for the roof down the road? Yeah, that would have been fine. But in this, key is the inventory on the market nowadays. When there's low inventory, there's very little chance you're going to get a home below the listed price. It will generally go above, the list price. What the time frame on closing on a house? from the time you put an offer on a home and the offer is accepted to when you close, averages is about anywhere from 60 to 75 days. Especially if it's a finance home that's being financed by a lender, takes that amount of time to process it. That means the attorneys, there's an attorney approval process where after a contract's accepted, the contract goes to a real estate attorney. They go through the contract with the buyer, making sure the buyer understands everything about that's in the paperwork. And we don't need to sign it, and then they check, make sure there's no issues or concerns, and then they will generally issue their what we call an attorney approval process. Then there's generally a lot of people will ask for a home inspection, and that's usually done within 3 to 5 days of an offer being accepted. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a minimum of 120 transaction steps in every real estate deal. And there's the title search, there's search and survey, there's a bank reviewing the buyer's financial situation. There's things going on the seller side. A real estate attorney will be checking out the property to make sure to see if there's any lien, any judgments against the property, liens or things like that. So there's, like I said, there's a lot of work involved before we get to that closing day. That's what makes and so forth. So like I said, on the average, 65 to 75 days is where we're at right now. Next screen. Communication is the key. Ultimately, I have found that by keeping in touch with my clients through the home buying process, whether it be searching for a home or in the closing process, it's very important to stay in touch with them, because you want to make things as smooth and stressful. I, as a real estate agent, that's my job every day that I do. My job is to make their experience as stress-free and as easy as possible, and to build that long-term relationship. But that, like I said, that's making sure they get all the answers to the questions, making sure things are moving properly through the process with the attorneys, the bank, etc. Those are all part of my responsibility, and I'm fortunate that I work on a team, so I have people that can help me make those transaction processes easy as possible every step of the way. And a lot of times agents will be looking for checking out reviews of an agent is important. See what their past clients have said about them. Is the agent communicating? Are they educating? Are they how are they being as informative and helpful through the process? Because as an agent, you want to build that relationship past the closing. You want a long-term relationship with them, for referrals or whatnot. But that's the key is making my buyers experience working with me, the best possible way, so I can have that long-term relationship. All right. Next slide. Interview at least three real estate agents. In all honesty, most people, I don't think really interview 3 real estate agents. Like I said, they'll a lot of times go by referrals or recommendations from family, friends, co-workers, visiting an open house. They kind of like just, they'll ask questions, and kind of, and get a feel for the agent, considering, bring have some questions in mind about an agent. Yes, how well they know the market, are they in the area? How often do they keep in communication with you? How will you help me buy a home in this competitive market? Do I have to sign a contract with you? Can I cancel without penalty? My clients don't sign a contract per se with me, but it's more of like a loyalty agreement. Hey, I'm going to provide you the best possible service and help that I can in finding a home. And basically, a lot of times it's just verbal, in that respect. It's basically just providing the best service. As long as I do that, I know I can, keep them as a client for long term. Yeah. Who can you contact for an agent's reference? There again, there's the local real estate board, Buffalo Realtors Association. You can find out. You can, if it's somebody that a past friend or family have used, ask them how that agent did in helping you. There's also going online, Googling, that agent's name to kind of get their experience. There's some ways of doing that. Like I said, it all depends on how you feel about that one. Hire someone hiring the right agent will make sure you understand the process and carefully answer any questions you have without adding any stress. That's the key, is finding an agent like myself who will put those pieces together and walk you through the entire process as smoothly as possible without any stress. We all have enough stress in our lives these days. So, and next. All right. Any questions?
Hi, John. Thank you so much. That was so informative, and we really appreciate your time and all your effort that you've put into these presentations so far. Next week, we'll be doing our third part of the presentation on making an offer and choosing a mortgage with John and Adam again.
Yep.
So we look forward to that. That's February 16th at 3 p.m. again. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to myself, Leanna Bengella, at leanna.bengella@jrchc.org, or John. His cell phone number is 716-531-2704, or Adam Fensky, who is the Premium Mortgage representative. His phone number is 716-913-3914. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, Leanna. Pleasure.